I was rushed to the hospital, unconscious. The doctors told my parents, tonight might be his last. Their reply, we can't. Our other son is at the dog park. When they finally arrived a week later, my bed was empty. All that remained was a single envelope. The moment they read it, the blood drained from their faces. I've always known I was a backup child, but you don't truly understand what that means until you're bleeding out on an operating table, and your parents decide a dog park is more important than your life. I was 26 when my appendix ruptured, complicated by a severe undiagnosed bleeding disorder. I collapsed at work. By the time the ambulance got me to the ER, I was unresponsive. My blood pressure was crashing. The medical team had to perform emergency surgery just to keep my organs from shutting down. Before they put me under, the attending physician dug through my wallet and found my emergency contact card. He called my mother on speakerphone. I was drifting in and out of consciousness, but the cold, sterile air in the trauma bay made her voice echo perfectly. Mrs. Vance, the doctor said, his voice tight with urgency. Your son has suffered a catastrophic internal hemorrhage. We are rushing him to surgery, but you need to come down here immediately. I have to be honest, tonight might be his last. There was a pause on the line. I expected panic. I expected tears. I expected my mother to scream for my father and rush to the hospital. Instead, I heard an exasperated sigh. Doctor, we really can't right now, my mother said, her tone laced with mild annoyance. Our other son, Lucas, is at the dog park. His new golden retriever is having some behavioral issues with other dogs, and we need to be here to support him. Can't you just call us tomorrow? The doctor froze. The nurses staring down at me stopped moving for a fraction of a second. Ma'am, the doctor said, his voice dropping an octave. Your son is dying. He's always being dramatic, she scoffed. Just do your job. We'll drop by when we have a free afternoon. Click. She hung up. That was the last thing I heard before the anesthesia dragged me into the dark. I didn't die that night, but the son they knew certainly did. I woke up 3 days later in the ICU. The room was quiet, save for the rhythmic beeping of the monitors. I was entirely alone. The nurses treated me with a gentle, heartbreaking kindness. They knew. Everyone on the floor knew that the guy in room 412 was the one whose parents chose a puppy over his life. That pity could have broken me. Instead, it crystallized into pure, absolute clarity. For years, I had bought their love. I was a successful tech engineer, the quiet ATM who funded their entire lives. I paid the mortgage on the sprawling 4-bedroom house they lived in, at least the luxury SUVs they drove. I even paid off the credit card they used to fund Lucas's pathetic attempts at becoming a lifestyle influencer, all because I desperately wanted them to look at me the way they looked at him. Not anymore. Over the next 4 days, I made a series of phone calls from my hospital bed. I called my lawyer. I called my bank. I called a real estate management company. On day 7, I was medically cleared to leave. I didn't go home. I packed a single duffel bag, handed the head nurse a sealed manila envelope, and walked out the front doors to a waiting town car. According to a very sympathetic nurse who later texted me the details, my parents finally decided to grace the hospital with their presence a full 8 days after I was admitted. They strolled up to the nurse's station holding a half-drank iced coffee, demanding to see me. The nurse didn't say a word. She just walked them to room 412. The bed was empty, stripped to the bare mattress. My mother panicked, demanding to know if I had passed away. The nurse simply handed her the envelope I had left behind. Inside, there was no emotional letter, no begging for closure. It contained exactly 3 things. First, a 30-day eviction notice for their house, which was legally in my name and had just been sold to a corporate buyer. Second, a notice of immediate repossession for both of their vehicles. And third, a printed screenshot of their shared bank account balance, which I had legally drained of every single cent I had ever contributed, leaving them with exactly $12. At the bottom of the page, I had written just one sentence in thick black marker. I hope the dog park was worth it. I heard my mother literally collapse in the hallway, screaming my name. My father threatened to sue the hospital until security escorted them both off the premises. They tried calling me hundreds of times. They left voicemails sobbing, begging, pleading for me to come back and talk about this as a family, but the phone number they were dialing had already been disconnected. I am currently sitting on a balcony, overlooking the ocean in a city where no one knows my name. I have a scar on my stomach and a hole where my family used to be, but for the first time in 26 years, I can finally breathe.